fantastic. Thank you for tuning in again today. Hope you enjoyed last week. We had some time last week looking at John chapter 4 and talking about the harvest. And I promised last week that we were going to have a guest this week. But for some reason, the guest schedule for this week, we might possibly have that next week or the week after. But God has been so kind to us, and today we've got someone really, really inspiring to me as an individual, a friend, and one of our leaders at the Living Waters Church in Preston. We had a great time yesterday at our International Christmas event. What will be the highlights for you of that?
Well, the highlight of every, thank you for asking that. The highlight of every event is salvation of souls. The heartbeat of God is evangelism, to save souls. That's why Jesus came. And I know we captioned it, titled it International Christmas. But it says, unto us a child is born and a son is given. So, and God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So that is the highlight.
I know the whole idea of International Christmas. Just in case you don't have the background information, on our Facebook page, Living Waters Church Preston, you'll find some amazing pictures of our event yesterday. We tagged it the International Christmas event, and it was a family affair. There was food, there were children, there was a time to sing carols, and just general excitement. And I'm so grateful because that whole event came about. I was having a chat with you. We were out on the streets on evangelism, and then he said, we can do an International Christmas Day. And I said, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And why international? Because I know we had flags of different nations. What's the key thing about?
Well, that will take us from Isaiah to the book of Revelation, because in the book of Revelation it says that there was multitude of people that were worshiping God. And it said from every tongue, every nation, every tribe. And if you remember the story of Abraham, God said, I'm going to make you a father of many nations. And I look at people like Pastor Tony, actually, he doesn't know it. He's a father of many nations. I believe it. I've never said this to him, but I know he came to Charlie maybe 35 years ago and he's giving birth to people. They may not know it. They were praying for me. I didn't know. Even before I came to this country, I traveled all over the world, and then 6,000 miles from Nigeria to get to this point. So Pastor Tony is a father of many nations. You know, what you are doing with Pastor John is to raise people. You know, these are not natural children. These are spiritual children. The blacks, the whites, the Indians, and the Polish people, they are all coming together. This is United Kingdom. God wants to have a people that are united in his kingdom to worship him. So I think that's a concept of International Christmas for everybody.
I've always thought about the fact that when we get to heaven, there will be people from
that's it,
all over the world, isn't it? We'll have to live together for the rest of eternity.
Exactly.
So let's start practicing it now.
That's it.
Really nice to have Isaac with us today. In a short while, I'm just going to ask Isaac to tell us a little bit about himself and his background, what he does for a living, and just so you have a little bit insight into who he is. He's an amazing family man, a good friend, a good Christian. Before we go into the nitty-gritty of why you're here today, who are you? What can you say about yourself?
Okay, so my full name is Isaac Chuma Kingson. Chuma is my native name. I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria, and Chuma is the short form of Chukwuma, God knows it all. So my mom was not expecting to have a baby because it was during the Civil War in Nigeria, and she found out she was pregnant while they were running helter-skelter. And when I came forth, she told me that she had to name me God Knows Everything.
Wow.
Because I wasn't meant to come. So that is the beginning. That's the humble beginning of me. I was born during the Civil War in Nigeria, and the Civil War was between 1967 to 1970, and I came in 1969. So my mom used to wonder, he said, why did I have this baby? But then also, I didn't also realize until I got saved that the same thing that happened to Moses was what happened to me. They wanted to eliminate the people of God, but they were not able to kill me. So in a nutshell, that's me. I work as a pharmacist, and my wife is Rebecca. I have two sons, Sam and Judah. I'm a foster carer as well, so we have foster children with us. I'm a football manager, so I did the FA training, so I train people in football. I've done a bit of Zumba training. I'm a Zumba trainer as well, so I do Zumba dancing as well. These are other things I do on the side to be able to evangelize. I'm also hoping that one day I'm going to be one of those street pastors. That's the next song. That's where I'm going, and Brian is trying to train me to do that.
That would be Preston, I will assume.
Well, it was going to be Charlie, but now we're Preston. I don't know. It might be Preston.
Okay. Particularly, if you remember, we were talking last week about the woman Jesus met at the well, and how that Jesus broke all the traditions and the culture of that time, because as a man in those days, you don't want to be found with an unmarried woman alone publicly. And Jesus was not just anybody. He was a religious ruler, he was a teacher, and he had disciples, and so he had a reputation to protect. But if you know Jesus in the Bible, I mean, his heart was to just speak to people about the good news that he came with, and he didn't care who got offended in that process. One thing I know, my little time with you so far, is you've got a heart to reach out to people with the good news of the salvation that Jesus brings. But I think it's important for us to know, how did that journey of salvation began with you? In a nutshell, because this edition will soon be finishing, and we can continue in the next edition tomorrow. But in a nutshell, how did it begin?
Okay, thank you once again for that question. Well, like you rightly said, everything has a beginning. So I came from a Catholic background. My dad was a nominal Catholic, and at the same time he was into other things because he was a king in the village. So he was a bit diabolical. So we didn't really know God. But my oldest brother got saved, and he began to take me to the Assemblies of God kind of church from Catholic. But I didn't want to go, so he would give me money to go with him, and then I was happy to go with him. I had another brother who was next to him, who is now a lawyer. That one never preached to me, but what he did was he was always praying for me.
Wow.
So when I looked in his prayer book, my dad was number 1 and I was number 2. And he wake up 3 a.m. to pray. And then my other brother next after gave me a hard message. He said to me, Isaac, if you do not repent, you're going to die and end up in hellfire.
Wow.
So these 3 people ministered to me in different dimensions. When I got to uni, I decided my roommate was going to Students' Union. He was a medical student. I was in the sciences, doing pharmacy. I did a bit of zoology before I went to pharmacy. And he said, let's go. I said, are the ladies going to come? Because I wanted to. I was just 18 years. He said, yeah, the ladies are coming. So we got there, and I was blown away by a student pastor who was maybe about 2 years older than me. He was studying chemistry. And he read from the book of Ecclesiastes. I remember it vividly. Chapter 12.
Wow.
Verse 1. You know what it said? Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come. He was telling me the opposite of what I wanted to do.
Wow.
I have gone away from home. I wanted to forget about God. I wanted to forget about all that my brothers were saying to me. And this guy is saying, no, you can't.
Wow.
Because God is saying, remember your Creator. Because the young people have a tendency and a propensity to forget about God. And that was what I So when he read it, I had to go and check whether he was.
If I can just
Yeah.
put you on a pause there,
Yeah.
because we will soon conclude
Yeah.
today's edition. We will continue tomorrow, but just something there that you said. As a young man, you were leaving home going to the university.
Yeah.
You thought you had escaped all the
Freedom.
preaching and
Yes.
all
Yes.
that religious
Yeah.
messages you're hearing at home, and you
Yeah.
wanted to go to the university
Exactly.
and explore life. That's what we see in our today's world. We live here in Preston, where there's a big university here, and 3 months ago, new students, freshers came into the university, and it's amazing and appalling some of the things that you hear and see.
Yeah.
Young people, teenagers getting drunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That was me. That was me.
And I could imagine that you were in that kind of scenario if God did not intervene
Yes.
at some point.
Yeah.
We will continue tomorrow, but I hope you will stay with us and we'll hear more exciting things about how did Isaac meet the Lord. Thank you. See you.